Yo, happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome into the show. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles now. My name is Chase Sr., and as always, no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day. And what we do here on this show, if you're new with us, we talk all things Eagles every single day, year round. Coming up here on the show, the best Eagles Vikings preview that you will find here on YouTube. Very insightful coverage coming up. We have some major Eagles trade rumors to get to. We have some good news for the Birds, bad news for the Birds, and of course, will C.J. Gardner-Johnson sign with Philadelphia? He was released by the Ravens practice squad yesterday. I had put out a tweet the other day saying that the Eagles need to bring him back. They need that spirit and that fire back on the defensive side of the ball. Plus, they need a playmaker. CD liked it. Does it mean that he's open for a reunion? We've talked about that a lot here on the show, and obviously we're on standby if that move does happen. A programming reminder, looking ahead to Sunday, we go live for every single Eagles game in addition to giving you Eagles talk shows every single day. Eagles-Vikings watch party coming up on Sunday. We will do an hour pregame show. Our coverage begins at 12 p.m. Eastern, early morning on the West Coast. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button, but also turn on your notifications by hitting that bell icon. Therefore, anytime I push out a video, anytime we go live, you will be notified. We'll set the stage for that game during our pregame show. During the game, live play-by-play, audience interaction, super chat giveaways. Then we'll stay live after the game for a post-game reaction show. If you're ready to talk some Birds, I need some help. We have almost 400 people watching live. I want to get that number up. You can help us by hitting that thumbs up icon and liking the video. Let's do an experiment here. The more likes that we get, the more people who find the stream, the more fun that we'll have here on the program. So much to talk about with the Birds. So as you come in here, hit that thumbs up icon, like the video. Shout out to the recent commenter club, the legend, Dennis Designs, Mike Allen, Mr. Manu, Joseph Croney, Tariq Shell, Trey Lasado, Dr. Fresh Time, all in the building. You're all hanging out here with us. It's Chase Sr., Chip with you. Let's get it started, and let's start the show. Here we go. Welcome into the show. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles now. My name is Chase Sr., and as always, no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day. Coming up, the best Eagles-Vikings preview that you'll find here on YouTube. Big game inside the NFC coming up on Sunday in this Week 7 matchup. Philadelphia hitting the road to play the Vikings. And is it a must-win game for the Birds? You can't lose 3 games in a row. This team is kind of reeling right now, circling the drain to a certain degree. This offense can't afford to have another bad showing. Otherwise, Eagles fans are going to go ballistic. This team badly needs to get some good vibes going and some positivity going into Week 8 for the rest of the season, too, and beyond. And Philadelphia can't lose to either Carson Wentz or J.J. McCarthy. And if the Eagles do lose and they drop 3 games in a row, it'll be loud all across Philadelphia and for Eagles fans everywhere. Can't wait for this game. If you're a football fan, the X's and O's component of this game is really fascinating for so many reasons, and we'll go through all of that. Key matchups, keys to the game, betting odds all throughout our preview. Kickoff is set for 1 p.m. Eastern at US Bank Stadium, one of the more raucous environments in all of the National Football League. And this game is pretty much a pick'em. Kind of surprised that the Eagles are 1-point favorites. Probably has to do with the quarterback uncertainty for Minnesota and the over-under for this game at 43.5. We will be live for this ball game. We go live for every single Eagles game right here on the channel. The best place to experience an Eagles game day outside of being at the actual game. We'll be live with our pregame show beginning at 12 p.m. Eastern. And as you can see here to my right, we're approaching 134,000 subscribers. So join the movement and let's grow the empire. The Vikings so far, coming off a bye week in Week 6. In Week 1, J.J. McCarthy was awful for the first 3 quarters. Then he was incredible in that fourth quarter, leading the Vikings to a comeback victory over the Bears, 27-24 final there. And then in Week 2, McCarthy was unable to carry that momentum from Week 1 to Week 2. He was really bad, and this Vikings offense was flustered. They fell at home in their home opener, 22-6 to Atlanta. And as the season has progressed, the Falcons have ended up being a pretty solid team in the NFC, sitting at 3-2 with the good win over Buffalo on Monday night. In week 3, Jake Browning got the start for the Bengals because Joe Burrow lost until December with that turf toe injury. Minnesota had no problems. 48-10 win. Isaiah Rodgers, former Eagle, had 2 defensive touchdowns in that game. The following week in Ireland, the Vikings fell to the Steelers 24-21, and then Eagles legend Carson Wentz able to lead a game-winning drive against one of the top defenses in football 2 weeks ago in London, and that lifted the Vikings to a 21-17 victory. Vikings injury news. As I noted, we're really not sure which quarterback is going to play. J.J. McCarthy is progressing from the ankle injury, the sprain that he had in that week 2 loss to Atlanta. It's been Carson Wentz since then. Blake Cashman most likely going to come back. He's a stalwart in the middle of that Vikings defense. They're so much better with him on the field. He hurt his hamstring in week 1. He has a good chance of playing. Carson Wentz dealing with a shoulder injury to his left shoulder, so his non-throwing shoulder. He, too, making some improvements coming off the bye week. Aaron Jones has to miss at least one more game because of a hamstring injury, which put him on IR. So Jordan Mason is the lead back, and he's a bell cow back there. And then Andrew Van Ginkel. Kevin O'Connell, not feeling too optimistic about him. He had so much success under Vic Fangio, Eagles defensive coordinator a couple of years ago. He's been really good under Brian Flores. He can get after the quarterback. That patented throw on the bubble screens, he's intercepted so many of those. He's had a lot of pass breakups on those plays. He's a highly disruptive player. Doesn't look as though he's going to be able to play because he injured his neck. And so for one of the best offensive minds in football, this man to my right in Kevin O'Connell, we really don't know who the quarterback will be. Will it be Carson Wentz against his former team? Will it be J.J. McCarthy getting his 3rd career start? Either way, Eagles have no excuses. You got to take down that quarterback, albeit with this game being on the road. For the Eagles, the injury report will come out later on Wednesday. Recording this show on Wednesday during our live program. This is why you subscribe to the channel, because our coverage does not stop. And so we'll get more clarity on the injury front. But Jalen Carter didn't play against the Giants because of a heel injury. Didn't even work out pregame because he wasn't feeling up to it. Quinyon Mitchell got hurt during the game because of a hamstring. If he can't play, Adoree Jackson and Keely Ringo most likely going to be the starting outside corners. Yikes. Going up against Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. And then I'd be surprised if Landon Dickerson plays. He injured his ankle a couple of weeks ago against the Denver Broncos. I think that's the best play. Let him rest up because all year he had been bad prior to the injury and not healthy. When I scout the Minnesota Vikings, Kevin O'Connell is a quarterback whisperer, a former backup in his professional career. Then he's climbed up the coaching ranks, a Sean McVay disciple. He is such a smart offensive mind, such a great play caller, and he's been able to do such a terrific job of maximizing his quarterbacks. And he's had a plethora of quarterbacks play very well, from Kirk Cousins to Carson Wentz to J.J. McCarthy in that first game to the likes of Nick Mullins. Sam Darnold had a career year. The sample size for O'Connell, it's very impressive. Now, obviously, he hasn't had a lot of playoff success, but as far as calling an offense and running an offense, he's one of the best in the league. On the defensive side of the rock, Brian Flores is a terrific defensive coordinator. He's exotic. He's very aggressive. He will give the Eagles offense a bunch of different looks, sim pressures, heavy pressures, mixing up his coverages downfield. The Vikings do play a lot of zone defense, and obviously that's been a kryptonite for this Eagles offense this season. So much respect for Flores, a very intimidating and aggressive guy, and his defense plays like that. The Vikings offense has some elite talent at the wide receiver spot. Justin Jefferson, you can make the argument, is the best wideout in the game. I think Jamar Chase and A.J. Brown are right up there. Obviously, A.J.'s numbers are down this year for a plethora of reasons, but Jefferson is superb. And Jordan Addison is his running mate, got suspended the first few games of the year, but he was highly productive last year. He's gotten off to a really good start his whole career, and this year he's popped. And an issue with Kevin O'Connell in his coaching and play calling career, sometimes the offense will be too pass happy. I think he made an adjustment this offseason philosophically because he knew that toward the end of the year last year, they just relied on the pass game too much. They had to have more balance on offense. So they made a trade for Jordan Mason of the San Francisco 49ers, who runs very much like a LeGarrette Blount or a Marshawn Lynch. And that has given Minnesota thump in the run game. As far as US Bank Stadium goes in Minneapolis, a great looking stadium. You've got the Minneapolis skyline right in the background. This is where the Eagles, by the way, won Super Bowl 52, but it's always looked at as one of the loudest, most difficult environments to play in on the road across the NFL. They have that horn going on some big downs, and anytime you make a mistake, that crowd erupts. I know when the Vikings came to the Link in 2017 for the NFC Championship game, Eagles fans were making fun of Vikings fans by going, Foles, Foles, Foles. But the Skulls, Skulls, Skulls chants will be loud on Sunday. How the Vikings stack up on both sides of the football. Offensively, despite two different quarterbacks playing, still averaging 24.6 points per game. That ranks 12th in the NFL. They're putting up 305 yards of offense per game. So that's pretty low, kind of in the same neighborhood of the Eagles. They rank 25th there. Yards per play, 5.3. That's number 19. They are not a good third down offense. 31% third down conversion rate, but they are good in the red zone, 66.6% there. On defense, Brian Flores' unit is top 5, top 10 all across the board, although they do struggle to stop the run. But points per game, ranking 5th at 19.4. Yards per game given up, 289.8. That's number 6. Yards per play, 4.9. That's 8th. Third down conversion rate, second best team on defense getting off the field on third downs, allowing a first down just 30.1% of the time. And then their red zone touchdown rate, 50%. That's 4th in the NFL. As far as how this Eagles offense stacks up, going into that Broncos game, they were 11 for 11 in the red zone. But the last two games against Denver and against the Giants, they struggle a little bit in the red area. Now, they're still number 1 in the NFL at 87.5%, but they've hit a little bit of a wall there. And outside of that, they've been average to bad all across the board offensively. 15th in points per game, 30th in yards per game, 28th in yards per play, 27th on third downs. And this Eagles defense, I know they've been a little bit banged up. They got to play better. And Vic Fangio even said on Tuesday, I have to call a better game. 19th in points per game given up, 21st in yards per game, 17th in yards per play, 26th on third downs, but they are number 8 in red zone touchdown scoring percentage given up. So who you got in this football game? It's going to be a good one. It's going to be an intense one, and I think it's a close game. Type PHI for the Eagles, MIN for the Vikings. Share your thoughts with me and predict it down below. Coming up next, I'm going to give you my keys to the game and matchups to watch for this Week 7 tilt. Stay tuned for that, but let's first get to our sponsor, PrizePicks. They're making today's Philadelphia Eagles now possible and free for all of you. We're talking about America's #1 fantasy sports app. Millions of users have signed up, so join the party. Pick, predict, and play, and turn your takes into cash with PrizePicks. They also have a couple of new features. It's the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. You want to pick more on Josh Allen's pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns? Now you can pick all of them in the same lineup, only on PrizePicks. Follow other PrizePicks players directly on the app, copy their lineups in one click, whether it's a friend, a celebrity partner, or just somebody whose picks you like. Hit the follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab on PrizePicks. 3-pick power play for Sunday. A.J. Brown more on the 67.5 receiving yards. Justin Jefferson more on the 74.5 receiving yards. And then Saquon Barkley finds the end zone more than a half rushing or receiving touchdown. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use the code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. All right, we move forward here on the show. This is Philadelphia Eagles Now. My name is Chase Sr. You don't want to miss what we have coming up. keys to the game between the Eagles and the Vikings, matchups to watch in this Week 7 affair, what the Eagles must do to win, and of course, as always, I'm going to give you my prediction. Key to the game number 1, you have a new rookie offensive play caller in Kevin Patullo, the offensive coordinator for the Eagles, going up against one of the savviest, one of the most aggressive, and one of the best defensive minds and defensive play callers in the sport. This is a huge matchup in this game for both Philadelphia and Minnesota, and obviously the seat beneath Patullo, it is extremely hot, and I think that his leash is pretty short, regardless of what Nick Sirianni says. And this Vikings defense is for real. They've been one of the top units since Brian Flores joined up with Kevin O'Connell to become Minnesota's defensive coordinator. They're 5th in points per game, 6th in yards per game, 8th in yards per play given up, 2nd on third downs, 4th in the red zone. And this Eagles offense through 6 games has not put together a full 4 quarters or a full 60 minutes. They've had good quarters, they've had good halves, but in the last 2 games especially, they've been really solid in the first half. They have been awful and in the witness protection program after halftime in the 3rd and 4th quarter. 15th in points per game, Kevin Patullo's unit. 30th in yards per game, 28th in yards per play, 27th on third down conversion rate. That number has plummeted the last 2 games. They are still number 1 in the red zone, but they have struggled there a little bit the last 2 games against Denver and New York. And we know that this Eagles offense this year has struggled against zone coverage. The last 2 seasons, Jalen Hurts has struggled against zone coverage. When the Eagles offense goes up against man, they win and have success because they have so much talent. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, they are man beaters. But against the zone, Hurts sometimes struggles because it requires anticipation. It requires being able to process and read the defense. It requires a quarterback to layer throws and target the middle area of the field. That's been lacking with Jalen Hurts' game. On throws of 10 to 19 yards, he's been one of the worst quarterbacks in the history of the National Football League this year. Now, I will say against the Giants, he fared a little bit better against the zone. And this is really on everybody, right? The offensive line, the receivers, the play calling, the scheme, the Eagles offense being too predictable. What's going to give in this ballgame? That's why I started this off with this being the number 1 matchup to watch. The Vikings play zone 80% of the time. They play man 20% of the time. Wouldn't surprise me if those splits are 90-10 on Sunday because Flores knows this Eagles offense has faltered against zone coverages. The man coverage breakdown for Minnesota. They play cover 0 5% of the time. Cover 1 man 9% of the time. Cover 2 man 6% of the time. Zone coverage. Cover 2 29% of the time. Cover 3 21%. Cover 4 7%. Cover 6 16%. So their tendencies are there. The Eagles have had a mini bye. The Vikings are coming off a bye week. And so game planning, preparation, but in-game adjustments are going to be huge on this front. And that's something that Patullo has really struggled with, and he's shown his inexperience. They haven't been able to make in-game adjustments on the offensive side of the ball, which is why they've been such a Jekyll and Hyde team. And these numbers with all this talent just isn't good enough for this Eagles offense. Yards per game, 29th. Passing yards per game, 29th. Rushing yards per game, a strength last year, 25th. Points per game, middle of the pack at 15th. Their third down conversion rate, 27th. The pressure is on this Eagles offense. The job does not get easier going up against Brian Flores, but if they can put together a good performance and iron out some of their issues, fix some of their flaws, execute, and if players play better and coaches coach better, this could go down as a season-changing type of victory where the Eagles can establish an identity and gather some confidence and momentum on offense. Key to the game number 2, Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison are one of the best wide receiver duos in the NFL. Jefferson's production since coming into the league out of LSU has been historic. Addison has also been an awesome player. And these Eagles corners, it's a question mark going into this game. Who's going to play? And how are they going to fare? Quinyon Mitchell dealing with a hamstring issue. He got hurt during that Giants game early, and the Eagles secondary really struggled after that. The Eagles still do not know if he's going to be able to play on Sunday. I'm recording this show on Wednesday. The initial injury report does come out a little bit later today, and so we'll see what happens with Quinyon and what his practice status is. Soft tissue injury, though, for a quick twitch position, you worry a little bit about a player who at times this year has played like an all-pro. And the Eagles have 2 weak links at the corner spot. Keely Ringo is big and fast, but he's not really physical. He can't tackle, and he has no lateral quickness, so that impacts his coverage ability. Adoree Jackson is a veteran who, to me, is not great in coverage. He can't tackle, and the final straw for me was when he threw a shoulder at Cam Scadaboo along the goal line. You think that's bringing down that bull? No. And this is why I've continued to say, the Philadelphia Eagles need to bring back C.J. Gardner-Johnson. They were soft against the Giants. They collapsed against the Denver Broncos. Andrew Nakobe has been good against the run. He's been a complete and utter liability at safety. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, on the other hand, knows this defense. You can plug and play him, and he can be an immediate impact player. He has unbelievable ball production, 12 interceptions in 28 regular season games with the Eagles, but an underrated storyline with C.J. Gardner-Johnson. If the Eagles wanted to move Cooper DeJean to the outside to be the perimeter corner opposite of Quinyon Mitchell, C.J. Gardner-Johnson snaps there compared to 80 at the safety spot. And so this Eagles defense needs swagger. They need some juice. They need some fire. They need some accountability. They need physicality. He helps you there. He knows the scheme. He can play safety. He can play nickel. But as far as talent goes, I think this is a player that the Eagles need to bring back. I tweeted out about that. He liked it and responded to it. So maybe he's up for a reunion after he got let go by the Ravens. Justin Jefferson in 2025. Look at these numbers, man. And what's incredible about JJ is that he's had a lot of different quarterbacks in his Vikings career, still putting up insane production. 29 catches, 449 yards along a 50. He's only found the end zone once, but the yards per catch there, elite. Jordan Addison got suspended the first few games of the year, and then I think it was against either Cleveland or Pittsburgh overseas. He got benched because he didn't show up for a walkthrough. And so obviously he's had some legal concerns. He's had some concerns with showing up or not showing up at all. But when he's right, he's a very explosive player, like the game at USC, like his game at the NFL level. He just needs to keep his head on straight. Key to the game number 3, can the Eagles get Saquon Barkley going? While this Vikings defense is elite, they are a little bit leaky against the run. And look at how Saquon's numbers compare. First 6 games in 2025 to the first 6 games in 2024. So through 6 games this season, Saquon has 95 carries, 325 rushing yards. He's only averaging 3.4 yards per carry. He has 3 rushing touchdowns, and his rushing yards per game, 54.2. You compare those numbers to what he did the first 6 games of 2024, the carries are about the same. Stark difference in the rushing yards. He's averaging nearly 2 yards less per carry than he did last year. Rushing yards per game, nearly a 30-yard difference. I think Saquon looks awesome. I don't think it's the fact that he's washed or he's laboring after leading the NFL in touches last year. It comes down to the scheme, the play calling, the down and distance, the situational play calling. Most importantly, it's been this horrible offensive line, which should not be horrible with all that talent and all those high-priced veterans who are along that offensive line. As far as this Vikings run defense, this goes to show you that hopefully the Eagles within their game planning have looked at these tendencies, they've looked at these numbers, and they said, we just got to execute better up front. We have a bunch of studs along our offensive line. We've been playing like mid players, but they can expose this Vikings rushing defense, and this can help the Eagles maybe, perhaps, find their identity. And when you run it, obviously, that in turn can lead to passing success. And I think the Eagles need to find a balance in addition to an identity on the offensive side of the football. Now, the Vikings, opponents run it 49% of the time, 31st in the NFL. Yards per rush, 4.5. It's 22nd. Rushing attempts per game, 29.4. That's 25th. Rushing yards per game, 132.2 rushing yards per game. And they're giving up less than one touchdown per game. That ranks 13th. And upon looking at some of the tape, where the Vikings sometimes struggle, because they're such an aggressive defense, they can get really aggressive with having a lot of bodies being in attack mode in between the tackles inside that tackle box. And so where this Vikings defense can have lapses is the contain in the running game, where some of these runs that start up the middle and get bounced to the outside, they're not able to set the edge or contain. And so by design, look out for the Eagles to perhaps do that. For Saquon Barkley, look out for him to maybe have that thought process of, okay, let's be patient in the backfield once I get the ball. As long as the offensive line can hold up front, which has been an issue all year, he can use his vision, his jump cutting ability, and his bounce ability to get to the outside and pick up some chunk plays on the ground. This is obviously problematic too, and Denise Selman has done a great job over the years of putting out some really good analytics as far as Eagles numbers go. Saquon Barkley is being contacted behind the line of scrimmage on 35.8% of his carries. Second most in the NFL, and also the most of his career. And Saquon Barkley, the percentage of carries with negative yards before contact, these numbers this year, 35.8% with the NFL average being 26%, they are worse than some of the Giants' numbers when they had horrible offensive lines in 2021 and in 2023. And you look at how the numbers compare year over year. In 2024, it was 24.3%. This year, 35.8%. More than an 11% difference. Can't play football that way. And you're not going to find success running the football that way. Now, Jordan Mailata does believe that positive trends are coming. Positive results are on the way. And he was asked about the 2023 season. And he said the detail as far as coaching was not there in 2023. The detail was not there. The technique was not there. Now it is. The Eagles keep telling us they feel as though they're close to breaking out. Hopefully they're right about that. Key to the game number 4. Whether it's Carson Wentz or J.J. McCarthy playing quarterback for Minnesota, the Eagles have to stop the run. And they have to turn the Vikings offense into a one-dimensional team. Because if they have to throw it a lot, having to come back in a game, I like the Eagles' chances a lot. And another thing with this Eagles defense, don't be soft. They were incredibly soft against the New York Giants. It was so surprising to see them revert back to 2023 when they were scared to tackle and they couldn't execute. They were awful on third downs. They couldn't get to the quarterback. They had lapses in coverage. They were bad on fourth downs. The Giants just completely bullied the Eagles last Thursday. Inexcusable. And they won that game for a variety of reasons. A big one, how they converted on third downs. The Eagles offense, 1 of 9 on third downs. The Giants, 11 of 16. Eagles defense needs to get off the field against Minnesota. They gave up 172 rushing yards to New York, and they were scared of Cam Scottaboo. They didn't want that smoke. Rushing first downs. The Giants had 14 of them. And, of course, the Eagles lost the turnover battle 2-0. If the Eagles give up third downs at that clip and rushing yards like that and rushing first downs in this game, they will lose once again. Cue to the game number 5. I know this might sound cliche, but the turnover battle is going to be huge. And when you're playing in one of the most raucous environments in all of football, when turnovers can change the momentum and get the fans into it, that can just be the death sentence for you in that game for that week. So turnovers in that environment will kill Philadelphia. But how about these splits? Little chat stats here. Nick Sirianni has a 24-1 record when the Eagles win the turnover battle. Kevin O'Connell has a 26-3 record when the Vikings win the turnover battle. I think Sirianni and O'Connell are both really good at managing the game and managing leads and capitalizing on momentum. And you're able to do that when you win the turnover battle. So that's going to be a huge key in this game. I want you to predict the score. Eagles, Vikings. Give me your score predictions down below. I kind of want to have the Eagles prove me wrong here. I don't like the spot. I don't like Kevin Petula going up against Brian Flores. And I want this Eagles offense to go out there and prove me wrong. I'm willing to be the bad guy for this fan base. So you can throw all this shit toward me that you want. But I'm going with the Vikings to win this game 24-21. Because what I've seen in the second half against the Bucs, against the Broncos, and against the Giants, it's concerning me. And the Eagles have to show me that they can play a full 4 quarters. And if they do that, I think this can propel them the rest of the way here in 2025. All right, Epic, Extreme Gamer, 20-17. Damascus Roberts, 27-17, Eagles. Joshua Mullins, 24-13. Mark Rodriguez, I can't lie, Vikings can win this. I agree. 31-20 Eagles from DMAC40. Edric, dude, you traitor. Look, I'm not going to bat 100% on my predictions. I'm not going to take the Eagles to win every single game. I've forgotten more about the Eagles than you know. So you can't say that I'm a traitor if I'm picking them to lose a ball game because I picked them to win every game up until this point. Alex Orlando, 24-10, go Birds. Love it.
Gonna be a good one, man.
Got to show me, man. Got to show me. It's time to put up or shut up for Philadelphia. That's where I'm at. You can be a diehard Eagles fan and you can call for them to lose. You could predict that they lose. They're not going to go 17-0. It's unrealistic. All right. We're going to keep it moving here. Almost 600 people watching live. Thank you so much for hanging out here on the show. 193 likes. Continue to hit that thumbs up icon. Like the video. Coming up next, we got some major Eagles trade rumors to get to. So we're going to hop into that here momentarily. Continue to hang out here with us. Don't you dare go anywhere. John Sheeran, get on with the news. I don't know. I just gave you, a 25-minute preview? We're taking a break to get to segment number 2, giving some shout-outs to our loyal viewers. Johnny Blaze, this site is nothing but clickbait. How is an Eagles-Vikings preview clickbait? I don't understand people who say that. It's the laziest comment ever used on YouTube. All right, let's get to some Eagles trade rumors from ESPN. And my recommendation for you, Johnny Blaze, is think critically and think creatively. It'll really help you out in all facets of life. Segment number 2 coming up. Let's go. Here we go. Welcome into the show. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now. Chase Sr. here with you. And as always, thank you so much for supporting the show. There are so many great content options out there and talented content creators. So anytime you decide to watch our coverage, I really appreciate that. It's been a lifelong dream to talk about the Eagles professionally. I knew I wanted to do this at 5 years old. So to be able to do it on this platform where we're reaching millions and millions of people every single month, I wake up every single day feeling blessed. I do want to begin here. Let's grow the empire. It is so incredible to me that we have people who watch this show from every pocket of America and worldwide, and that we've reached 3 to 4 million people over the last month. And I want to continue to build this show so that it remains a powerhouse, because Eagles fans love their football team. Eagles fans love being informed and entertained, and I think we do that at a very high level. So we're 694 people away from 134,000 subscribers. Like I said, hit that sub button, and what you get is daily free Eagles shows. Could we see a lot of trade movement across the NFL going into the NFL trade deadline? And for Howie, you can never sleep on him because he's always trying to make moves to improve his ball club. The NFL trade deadline is after Week 9 going into Week 10. That sets up perfectly for Philadelphia because they have that Week 9 bye. Then they play the Packers in Week 10, and that's going to be a huge NFC matchup. The last 6 years, in October alone, going into the deadline, we have seen 88 trades across the NFL. That comes out to an average of 15 per season. And so the data and the trends show us that not only a move is going to be made, moves are going to be made. And why has there been an uptick in trades over the last few years. Because when I was growing up as a diehard Eagles fan and a fan of the entire NFL, because I love this game, it was very rare for teams to make trades going into the NFL trade deadline or just during the season. And over the last couple of years, the deadline has been moved back. And I think that's been beneficial for teams looking to improve their rosters because they can better gauge where they are at as a football team and the players who they want to identify as trade targets. But another reason is that across the NFL, you've seen a rise in these young, creative, aggressive general managers who operate their businesses in a way where to win, you need to be aggressive. And so with more aggressive general managers, they're making more aggressive in-season moves, and they have more confidence in their coaching staffs to get these players acclimated to learn their respective schemes. And as we know, Howie Roseman has been active already just in the last couple of months by making trades, not just in free agency and signing players to the roster and on the practice squad. Look at what Howie's already done. He traded for John Mechie. He traded for Jacorian Bennett. He traded for Fred Johnson. He traded for Tank Bigsby. Now, you're not going to have a 100% hit rate as a GM. Howie nearly had that in 2024 during the offseason when the only bad move he really made was signing Bryce Huff and then traded him away to the 49ers, and Huff is having a good year. He's a better scheme fit there. What's unfortunate, though, about those aforementioned moves that we just showed you, the only move that's worked out for the Eagles has been the Fred Johnson trade. He's filled in nicely for Lane Johnson when he's been in and out of the lineup. But other than that, Tank Bigsby has given you less than zero. John Mechie hasn't done anything. And Jacorian Bennett is on injured reserve. And so you're looking at a team right now that is 4-2. They have a lot of talent. I believe in the talent. I believe in the coaching staff. I believe in Howie Roseman. He's the best GM in football. But they're not without weaknesses or flaws. And they have a few deadline needs. Pass rusher, this could be edge or defensive tackle. They just need to do a better job of getting after the quarterback. Cornerback is a big one as well. These are the two biggest needs by far. I'm going to put safety there. This is why I'd bring back C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He's a player who knows the scheme, will bring this defense some spirit, fire, physicality, ball production, and he can play both these positions, corner and safety. And then guard. Landon Dickerson hasn't been good. Cam Jurgens at center has struggled. Tyler Steen's been up and down. So the interior of this Eagles offensive line has not been great. I will say it's really hard, though, to trade for offensive linemen during a season because even bad teams don't want to part ways with offensive linemen because they either have a young quarterback who they're trying to protect or they're going to draft a young quarterback in the 2026 draft. And you look at how the Eagles stack up. They need to play better, but I also think they can stand to make some moves to be a better football team. They're 15th in points per game offensively, 30th in yards per game, 28th in yards per play, 27th on third downs, best red zone offense in the NFL. On defense, they have a lot of pressures and quarterback hits. They don't have a lot of sacks. They're 25th in the NFL there. They need to do a better job of getting to the quarterback. They're 19th in points per game, 21st in yards per game, 17th in yards per play, 26th on third downs, 8th in the red zone. And so I think that Howie Roseman needs to make a move or moves. And the two positions that I would really hone in on, edge rusher, pass rush in general, so that can be a combo and a hybrid, and cornerback. And here's what Jeremy Fowler, ESPN NFL insider, had to say about Philadelphia making a trade. The Eagles are lurking in the trade market as always. People I've talked to around the league believe cornerback or edge rusher or both could be a focus at the deadline. Keep in mind that Philly has already made several trades, acquiring Jacorian Bennett, John Mechie, Tank Bigsby, and those moves haven't paid off yet. Now, coming up next here on the show, just around the corner, there's a player here to my right who the Eagles have been linked to a lot. I'm also going to go through other players who make sense for the Birds, so you don't want to miss that insight and that intel. You also don't want to miss this deal, thanks to our friends at Fanatics. This Fly Eagles Fly hoodie with fall and the cold temperatures here / quickly approaching was $75. It is now on sale for just $40. Yes, that's right. $35 off this hoodie right now, thanks to our friends at Fanatics. But you have to use our link down below in order for that discount to apply. Was $75, now $40. Head to chatsports.com/PHI hoodie. Chatsports.com/PHI hoodie. Get on that deal. Limited time only while supplies last. All right. As far as that trade target who has been garnering a lot of attention and buzz for the Birds, Bradley Chubb. And he could be a prime trade target for Philadelphia here. And why I think a Bradley Chubb trade makes sense. Zadarius Smith just retired. He was your most productive edge rusher. Now you're without him. Nolan Smith is on injured reserve. The Dolphins are in sell mode, or at least they should be. They're 1-5. The 2025 season is lost. I think they might fire their head coach, Mike McDaniel, soon. Chubb has 2 more years left on his deal. If you really like what he brings you, great. He's under contract. If you don't, he has no more guaranteed money left on his contract. That gives you a lot of flexibility as a football team. There's also scheme familiarity and defensive coordinator familiarity. Bradley Chubb played under Vic Fangio twice, with the Denver Broncos and with the Miami Dolphins in 2023. He was a Pro Bowler under Fangio in 2020. So he can quickly get acclimated with this scheme and help you produce. This year he has produced, coming off a torn ACL last year. He has 4 sacks and 6 quarterback hits. The leading edge producer as far as sacks goes for the Eagles was Zadarius Smith with 1.5 sacks. So Bradley Chubb by far would give you the best pass rushing production on your football team right now at the edge rusher spot. The Eagles also value a vet presence. That's why they brought in Zadarius Smith, because that's a young defensive line room. And this trade, I don't think would break the bank as far as financials or the draft picks that the Eagles would have to surrender. Chubb's numbers the last 4 years. This year, playing very well coming off that torn ACL, 4 sacks, 6 quarterback hits, 4 TFLs, 15 tackles. In 2023, under Vic Fangio, he had 11 sacks, 22 quarterback hits, 11 TFLs, and 73 tackles. In 2022, his time split between Denver and Miami, 8 sacks, 20 quarterback hits, 5 TFLs, and 39 tackles. He's been a pretty consistent player throughout his career. He's in his late 20s, so he's not too old. He's a player who makes sense for the Eagles and could really help the Eagles, and that's why his name has been linked to the Eagles a lot. And then there's 2 players on the winless Jets. The Jets are a disaster. I think Aaron Glenn might be one and done. That team stinks. But Jermaine Johnson and Will McDonald are really good pass rushers. And here's what's crazy about the Jets. I've never been a Justin Fields guy. He can't see the field. He can't process. He can't throw over the middle. That Jets team, though, should not be winless. They have a lot of talent, but they're a poorly coached team. And at defensive end, they have some talented guys. Jermaine Johnson, who tore his Achilles last year, but he's back and playing well, and Will McDonald, who's a talented pass rusher. And the Eagles have some intel on both these players. Why? Guess who rejoined the front office under Howie Roseman? Joe Douglas, who used to be the assistant GM for Philadelphia. He helped the Eagles put together that roster in 2017 when the Eagles won that Super Bowl. Well, Joe Douglas drafted Jermaine Johnson and Will McDonald. So those are 2 players where Joe Douglas has some insight, and he knows what they can bring to the table. They're both young. Now, for Johnson specifically, he'd cost a little bit because the Jets clearly want some good draft capital back, but that's a player who could be really interesting for Philadelphia. And before he transferred, he did, I believe, play at Georgia and did take a visit there with Nolan Smith. Other realistic Eagles edge targets. Trey Hendrickson would be the star. Bradley Chubb for the reasons that I mentioned. Rashawn Gary kind of out of the rotation, not getting as much playing time for the Green Bay Packers, but he's got some pedigree. The 2 Jets players, Jermaine Johnson, Will McDonald. What are the Raiders doing? I mean, if you're the Raiders and you can get multiple firsts for Max Crosby, I think it'd be wise to trade him. And you know what dumb organizations do? They hold on to a player because that player says, I want to be a Raider for life. Fans say, we don't want to trade that player because he wants to be a Raider for life. Don't you want to be a good football team? You have a better chance of being a good football team if you can load up on draft capital and trade a player like that. There could be a team desperate enough to give you 2 or 3 first-round picks. Does that help you more than Max Crosby? I think so. Arnold Ebiketie for the Falcons, he's kind of behind a couple of the young pass rushers for Atlanta, and he's had some good pass rush production. Jalen Phillips, another player for the Dolphins, he too tore his Achilles recently, but he's got some freaky twitch, length, and size from that pass rusher spot. And then 2 players on the Saints. Carl Granderson has 4.5 sacks this year. He's a little bit younger, in his late 20s, than Cameron Jordan. Cameron Jordan is a veteran who is a member of the 2010s All-Decade team. Definitely not the player who he once was. But if you want a high-character guy who could be rejuvenated a little bit, going to a team that's in a Super Bowl hunt, you could get the best out of him for the remainder of the year. We're giving you fantastic coverage here on Eagles Now. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, but I'm also giving you even more Eagles content on my personal social media pages. Give me a follow on X and Instagram at Chase_Senior. All right. Still 600 people watching live. We've gone through these 2 segments with some huge news within those, and then coming up next, some good news and some bad news. Chip, there's John Gold. Banned from X. Sorry.
John, man. Did we ever find out why?
We don't know.
John.
Don't know.
Spill the beans, man. What happened?
I thought Twitter was the wild, wild west, man. Dennis Design said 34-10. Eagles beat the Vikings. I hope you're right, man.
Hope so.
I hope you're right. That could be the feel-good game that the Eagles really need.
Kane Angel's here. What's good? What's good? I'm too wild for the wild, wild west. Must have been something crazy, man.
I know. Seriously.
That's all we got to know. That's all we got to know. You don't got to share.
That's it. That's it.
Funny stuff, man.
All right.
I don't want any pass rushers from Atlanta. Dude, the pass rush has been much better this year.
Pass rush has been
Did you
much
watch
better.
him on Monday, man?
Yeah. They were getting after Josh Allen. Forced him into having one of the worst games that he's had in recent memory.
Got some good young guys over there, man.
Yeah.
I like Atlanta, man. I kind of like Atlanta. If Penix can be, consistently improving and be a good quarterback, I kind of like Atlanta.
Yep. Ganja. In my 38 years as an Eagles fan, it amazes me how bad Patullo is. A little bit's on him. Some of it's on the players. I think it's a collective failure is the best way to put it. All right, let's get to segment number 3 here. If you have any super chats, you have any questions, send those in, and I can answer those after segment number 3. We've been live for 48 minutes. We'll be live for this segment, and if we get any super chats, we'll obviously take those after this segment coming up. Great audience today. So glad all of you are spending your Wednesdays with us. If you're at work watching the show, that's why we're here. Getting you through the rest of the workday, talking all things Eagles. All right. Here we go. This is Philadelphia Eagles Now. My name is Chase Senior. Another loaded show coming your way. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, by the way. Anytime I'm in front of a camera, on a microphone, I want to give you Eagles coverage that is insightful, informative, entertaining, thought-provoking, where you have a voice. So if all that sounds great, join the movement. Let's grow the empire. Lock us in and subscribe. Coming up here on the show, we have some good news to get to, some bad news to get to, and also a major ESPN report on the current state of the Birds. And let's begin here to try to be the voice of reason for all Eagles fans out there. I grew up in the Philadelphia area. I know how this fan base gets. I'm a part of it. And I want to give some people some positivity here. The good with the Eagles. They're starting slow this year. Remember they started slow last year as well, and everybody wanted Nick Sirianni fired going into the Week 5 bye. Even when they came out of that Week 5 bye, they barely beat Deshaun Watson in Cleveland. They didn't find their stride until Week 7. What week are we about to embark on? Week 7. So this Eagles team got it together at about this point last year. They can do the same this year. And if you also remember, it wasn't just the offense that was bad for the first month and a half of the 2024 season. This defense wasn't great either. And coming out of that Week 5 bye, guess who got the start in Week 6, which really started that defensive turnaround? Cooper DeJean. And so this offense and defense evolved a year ago. They can evolve this year. I believe in this coaching staff. I also believe that the roster talent is there because the Eagles have the best general manager in football. He's had some misses, but going into the deadline, Howie, if the Eagles are in it, if they think they can compete, he's going to make moves to bulk up this roster. We have also seen flashes from this Eagles team. It's so crazy to me, and I'll get to this here in a moment, how people talk about the Eagles compared to the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills have beaten some awful teams this year, whereas all the Eagles have done, they've beaten quality opponents. Dallas Cowboys, Kansas City Chiefs, Los Angeles Rams, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yet, I tweeted this out the other day, everybody wants to just get on their hands and knees for Josh Allen and praise him as though he's Jesus. Mike Greenberg on ESPN the other week said he's the best thrower of the football that we've ever seen. How about these Buffalo Bills? Beat the 1-5 Ravens, beat the 0-6 Jets, beat the 1-5 Dolphins, struggled against the 1-5 Saints at home, lost to the 4-2 Patriots, lost to the 3-2 Falcons. So, look, during the course of an NFL year, you're not going to dominate from start to finish. That wasn't the case last year when the Eagles had one of the best seasons and best rosters in the history of the National Football League. So we've seen the flashes. Now it's about doing it for a full game and doing it more consistently. And a lot of people are scared that the 2025 Eagles could be the 2023 Eagles, and we have a major ESPN report to hit on that particular topic coming up here toward the end of the show. But I will say this, that Eagles defense in 2023 was a nightmare. And Vic Fangio is not Sean Desai or Matt Patricia, and the talent and personnel on defense is much better than that year. And I like some of the buzz around the Eagles building this week and what Nick Sirianni, Kevin Patullo, Saquon Barkley, and others have all said about the Eagles' approach, the conversations that they've had, and how they're approaching this Week 7 game against Minnesota, and what they've done during this mini-bye. The Eagles have had productive meetings. They've said that they've figured some things out. They've identified some of their flaws and weaknesses. And this is what's important. People have taken accountability. And it is kind of crazy that the Eagles don't get the benefit of the doubt. They're one of the most well-run organizations in the game. Since the turn of the century in 2000, they've been one of the best organizations in the game. And this particular Eagles core has shown us before that they can make adjustments in season and improve. And going back to that Bills point, it's crazy how both teams are talked about in the national media. Everybody's going to suck off Josh Allen, and they're going to throw Jalen Hurts in the trash can. The Eagles the last 2 weeks, 0-2, averaging 17 points per game, averaging on offense, I should say, 5.7 yards per play. Isn't this crazy? The Bills the last 2 weeks, 0-2, 17 points per game, 5.7 yards per play. Identical numbers. Yet one team is talked about much different than the other, and this goes back to the benefit of the doubt conversation. I tweeted this out, took off, 335,000 views. Give me a follow on X, @Chase_Senior. We're popping off over there. The Eagles are 4-2, defending Super Bowl champions, and have suffered 2 losses in a row. The Bills are 4-2, have never won a Super Bowl, and have suffered 2 ugly losses in a row. But the conversation around the Bills this week, much softer and a lot nicer than those conversations about the Eagles after they lost on Thursday. Chase, they lost to the Giants. How about the Bills losing to Atlanta? Jordan Mailata said this, and this could give Eagles fans some hope and Eagles fans some good news, right? Some belief. Mailata on WIP on Tuesday night said the detail was not there in 2023. The detail was not there. The technique was not there, and now it is. He feels as though the Eagles are so close to figuring things out along the offensive line. They have the talent. They have the coaching. Now it's about doing it. And so with this Eagles team now and moving forward, of course I'm going to be critical. Of course I'm going to criticize when they play soft and scared against the Giants and they get annihilated by a team who they have no business losing to in that manner. But I do believe in the leaders of this football team. because the leaders of this football team, the pillars of this organization, the coaches have been a part of a great era of Eagles football. It is very rare for this Eagles team, especially under Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, to lose 2 games in a row. And so I think that they can get this thing on track. There's also good news here on this front. The Eagles might be 4-2. They might be feeling down about themselves, but I think that's kind of changed as Week 6 progressed. Now, after that Week 6 loss to the Giants, you're like, man, this is ugly. But then you look around the NFL, you watch all these games, and a takeaway I had, the NFC East, wide open. The NFC as a whole, wide open. There is not a great team across the NFL right now. You know who's playing the best football in the NFL right now? The Kansas City Chiefs. And they have 3 wins this year. You think they're panicking? No, they're not. And we saw the Eagles beat them playing a C-plus game. So the NFC East standings right now, the Eagles control their own destiny, ladies and gentlemen. The Commanders, 3-3, bad loss against Chicago, hard schedule coming up. Cowboys, 2-3-1, just lost to the Panthers. And they've got a pretty difficult rest of the schedule to go. The Giants are 2-4 on the road against the Broncos here in Week 7, and they have the hardest remaining schedule across the NFL the rest of the way. And then you look at the NFC standings. Wouldn't you take the Eagles in a win-or-go-home game against any of these teams? Especially when they're playing well, and they've shown under Sirianni that oftentimes outside of 2023, they can peak late. Buccaneers are the number 1 seed. Eagles beat them. Didn't play their best game. Jalen Hurts didn't complete a pass in the second half. Eagles will play the Packers coming out of the bye. Can't wait for that matchup. The 49ers have lost Nick Bosa and Fred Warner. I'd like Philly to win that head-to-head. The Seahawks are 4-2. I like Philadelphia in that head-to-head. Eagles will play the Lions at home. That's going to be another good litmus test. They already beat the Rams. I'd take Philadelphia to beat the Falcons. They'll play the Bears on, Black Friday. And they play the Vikings this week. So not only do I like how the Eagles match up with these teams, right? But everything is so closely contested inside the NFC, where from the 1 seed to the 10 seed, there's a 2-game difference in the win column, but the NFC is wide open. So in Philadelphia, sometimes it can feel as though the sky is falling. That's part of the deal when you play in the city of brotherly love, with the passion that we exude, how much we care about this football team. Improvements definitely need to be made. But if those improvements are made, you get some players back from injury, you start playing some good football, this Eagles team can be scary. And you look at how they are on offense and defense. There is no question they need to be better on offense. 15th in points per game, 30th in yards per game, 28th in yards per play, 27th on third downs, number 1 in the red zone. I think they can get better. The talent is too good for this to continue. And if Kevin Patullo flops against Minnesota, look out for a coordinator change potentially. That could give them a spark. On defense, they're going to get healthier. You have Vic Fangio there, and you've got some young dogs who are a part of a team that won the Super Bowl and dominated Kansas City last year. 19th in points per game, 21st in yards per game, 17th in yards per play, 26th on third downs, 8th in the red zone. I believe in this football team. And it is there for the taking inside the NFC. Coming up next, though, are there some concerns about the Birds? That's some of the bad news that we need to get to because some player was yapping off in the locker room to Jeremy Fowler of ESPN. That's coming up just around the corner. But first, today's Philadelphia Eagles Now, made possible thanks to our friends at PrizePicks, the number 1 fantasy sports app in America. You pick, predict, and play. It makes game day so much more fun. Download the PrizePicks app, create an account, use the code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. You can get your picks in less than 60 seconds. All withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. I know that you all know ball. So show me and turn your takes into cash with PrizePicks. They also have a couple of new features. It's the only app that offers stacks. You could pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. You want to pick more on Jalen Hurts' pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns. Now you can pick all of them in the same lineup only on PrizePicks. Follow other PrizePicks players directly on the app. Copy their lineups in one click, whether it's a friend, a celebrity partner, or just somebody whose picks you like. Hit the follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab on PrizePicks. Our 3-pick power play for Sunday. A.J. Brown more on the receiving yards. Justin Jefferson more on the receiving yards. Saquon Barkley more than a half rushing or receiving touchdown. Pick more, pick less. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. It's good to be right. All right, we move forward on the show, and I just want to pass along some NFL insider reporting on the current state of the Philadelphia Eagles. And obviously, I have some takeaways there. And Dan Graziano, Jeremy Fowler posed this question. 2 questions, in fact. Should we be worried about the Eagles' offense? Are the Eagles worried? Dan Graziano up first. I lean yes on both questions, with the caveat that they're a 4-2 team and in a position to be able to fix their problems in time. But there are problems, and they need to be fixed. It's easy to default to, oh, there's locker room tension. But I really have never had the sense that Eagles players have any personal issues with one another. They all want to be better. And if there's tension, it's because the 2 straight losses and the urgency they all feel to get it turned around. And I agree with that. Like, I know that rosters and teams change year over year, but I've been around the Eagles, and one thing that stands out to me is the culture that Nick Sirianni's been able to build. It's the relationships that they have with one another. It's the belief and the confidence that they have in themselves and in one another. But when you lose 2 games in Philadelphia in a row, and you lose in ugly fashion, where you give up 18 unanswered fourth quarter points against the Broncos at home, and then you get punked by the Giants on the road, the chatter around your team, the pressure that you will feel is different in Philadelphia when that happens compared to like Miami and Jacksonville or Arizona. So also keep in mind that the Eagles are a ratings juggernaut, and talk shows are going to talk about the Eagles. What drives ratings? There's a saying in the news business. This is part of the reason why I'm out of the news business, and I'm talking sports. If it bleeds, it leads. They love negative stories because that demands attention. In mainstream media, they love negative stories. They love drama. Why? It drives ratings and it drives clicks. And when you have a big market team with a bunch of stars for a team that just won a Super Bowl, they know those segments are going to do well, whether it's YouTube, TV, radio. Philadelphia radio probably doesn't help matters. Sometimes I don't help matters, probably, right? But I'm doing my job in talking about this team. But it's amplified in the city of Philadelphia. Jeremy Fowler on the Eagles. I was at the game against the Giants on Thursday and definitely sensed concern. So this is a little bit of a change from Graziano. One player told me that this is starting to feel like the 2023 meltdown all over again, when Philadelphia lost 5 of its last 6 games, and the team needs to use this week to figure out things and avoid a full-blown repeat. Now, a couple of things on what Fowler said. I think there are differences between the 2025 Eagles and the 2023 Eagles. Here's something, too, as well. You get a juicy quote like that. Why are you waiting until almost a week later when he released that quote in an article on Wednesday when the game happened on Thursday? Isn't that something that you want to report like in the aftermath of that game when the Eagles are down and out and everybody's kicking them while they're down? Also, the differences between 2025 and 2023, I think, are stark. That collapse happened at the end of the year. This 2-game losing skid is happening right now. The first third of the year, now that it's an 18-week schedule, right? And so there's time to figure it out. Toward the end of the year, you're panicking because there wasn't a lot of time to figure it out because time wasn't on your side. But in 2023, the Eagles were a team that lost the Super Bowl in heartbreaking fashion. Here in 2025, this is a collection of players and an organization that actually won the Super Bowl. In 2023, Vic Fangio was not here. He was with Miami. Sean Desai and Matt Patricia were the defensive coordinators. Vic Fangio's here now. He's so much better than them. This defense was old then. This defense now is young. The offense then, not as talented as it is now. There was no Saquon Barkley then. This offense is in its prime currently, which is why I believe that they can get this ship steered in the right direction. More from Fowler. Despite Hurts' strengths, asking him to throw 33 times the way that they did on Thursday, not a winning formula. Well, Jeremy, that's what happens when you go down multiple scores too. Last season, he averaged 24 passing attempts. He struggles at times against the zone. And without the big run plays, it's harder to get those one-on-one matchups for A.J. Brown deep downfield. To that point, Brown's frustrations 2 weeks ago probably stem more from the realities of a limited pass game than any personality clashes. The product on the field is the root of any tension, perceived or otherwise, and that can change if the on-field problems are exacerbated. As for solutions, some in the locker room would like to see more play action. The Eagles use it 19.6% of the time. That's 29th in the NFL. I agree with that. Helps out the pass game and the run game. Perhaps we see more pre-snap movement and motion to open up more throwing windows, which might encourage Hurts to let it loose a little bit more. Hit the throws that are there and hit them on time. And going back to what Fowler said originally too, you figure out some of these on-field problems and everybody will be happy. I'd be pissed off too if I was on offense. Now, I do want to throw some cold water on this talking point that is proven to be a myth. The Eagles can't win if Jalen Hurts has to throw it too much. That's actually false. That's a myth. The Eagles are 20-5 when Jalen Hurts throws it 30-plus times. Here's the key. The key is having a balanced offense. And when you are balanced, you are less predictable. You are harder to defend. The pass game opens up the run game. The run game opens up the pass game. And right now, yes, the Eagles are predictable because of play calling and scheme and play designs, but they're also predictable because they're in second and longs, third and longs when you have to usually throw the football. You're predictable when you're committing penalties to put you behind the sticks. You start having more success and you're more efficient on first down to get the second medium, second and short, third and medium, third and short. Then you have more play calls at your disposal to be less predictable. So this is why I've said on offense, it's a collective failure. It's coaching, it's scheme, it's play calling, it's player execution. It's all of those things. Players need to play better. Coaches need to coach better. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Do you believe in the Philadelphia Eagles? Are you with me? Lock us in. Subscribe to the channel. Continue to support us. We appreciate you. And we'll catch you soon here on Eagles Now. All right. 3 segments down. We did that in 1 hour and 8 minutes. Who was here for the entire time? Type me down in the comment section. See where the real ones are at. John Gold, I believe. I see Cheryl in the building.
Cheryl.
Kane's been here the whole time. John Galt's been here the whole time. Victor Guzman, Marcus Alviar, BB, Reginald Walker, DJ, salute to you, my brother. Nick Cohen, Dennis Designs.
Boom.
Dennis, I've seen you in the comments. Chase, did you see my comment? I've seen your comments, but for whatever reason, I can't respond to you in the YouTube comment section outside of the live shows. I don't know why, but we can pop up your super chats. I think the next draft should be all offensive linemen. Interesting, but Mailata's under contract, Landon Dickerson under contract, Cam Jurgens under contract. Maybe you draft a right guard. Lane Johnson getting older, still playing pretty well. Do you draft his future replacement? You could take 2 offensive linemen. I could see that. We'll pop that super chat up for everybody else to see.
Shout out to Dennis.
John Galt, I cannot see Dennis in the chat. I thought he blocked me. You see a super chat, right? There you go.
Can other people not see Dennis in the chat?
I think people can because I've seen people like interact with him in the live show.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Marquita Miller, Deathstrike Man, that guy Fox, all here for the whole time too. That guy Fox up, Chase up chat. What up, bruh? Rick, me, go Birds. Go Birds!
Go Birds!
Jordan Carter, JJ is going to torch us. I am worried about that. Victor Guzman, appreciate you saying my last name right. Got to be easy, right? What do people say? Guzman?
Maybe.
Do we still go after Denzel Ward? I think the Eagles should. From Snorlags. Kane Angel, John Gull. What? All right. Thanks to everybody for tuning into the show. If you're just joining us, you can obviously watch this show on repeat. Going to put out our Eagles-Vikings preview here right after we sign off. And then obviously Eagles coverage to come every single day because this is what we do. For Chip, I'm Chase. For the Bird Gang, we're out. Go Birds. See you Sunday live. Oh, Dennis, hold on. Oh, another Eagles guy was talking smack. I sent a link. Who was it, Dennis? Can you send me an email, Dennis? I might be able to look.
Who's talking that smack?
Who's talking that smack? We'll try to find it there, Dennis.
He says, Eagle Owl.
I have no idea who Eagle Owl is.
Eagle Owl?
Let's see. Eagle Owl. 16.
He's got you on a thumbnail. He's got you on a thummy.
Oh, Eagles fans want to bench Jalen Hurts for Tanner McKee. See, that's just a guy who can't read or listen because I didn't say that. I said from a scheme standpoint and given how much trouble this Eagles offense has had, I'd be curious to see what Tanner McKee could do with the offense because he throws with better touch and anticipation than Jalen Hurts. That's all I said. But of course, in the social media era, people can't listen. They clout chase. But
That's
hey,
funny.
Eagle Owl, we can disagree, bro. Good luck with your content. Hope you're doing well. All right. We're going to dip on out of here. Me on the thumbnail's awesome. I'm going to check that video out. Thanks, Dennis. Good stuff right there. All right. I support other content creators. That's why I said at the start of the segment. So many great content creators out there. That's why we're so glad that you hang out here with us. All right. So we'll see you live on Sunday. Eagles-Vikings watch party. Content to come. Hopefully CJ Gardner-Johnson signs with the Eagles. If that happens, breaking news video obviously coming up. So we're going to sign off for now. Again, Eagles-Vikings preview going to be up on the channel here in the next hour or so. So for Chip, I'm Chase. For all of the real ones, we're out. See ya.